Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rawhide Roundup. I'm your host, Heather Dallas, and got another exciting guest for us this week. I think this week you're going to find very informational and educational. I have got Elizabeth Thomas with me today from the Thomas Cattle Company, and they have found a lot of success in direct beef sales. And I know a lot of our customers are considering it, a lot of people interested in buying it. And so Elizabeth is going to help us today and answer some questions. So without further ado, let's welcome Elizabeth to the podcast.
Hi, Heather. Thanks for having me today. I look forward to talking with you, and we appreciate our Rawhide portable corral. We use it all the time, so thanks for having us here today.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you. So having you guys having a rawhide, that's one of the ways that we learned about you guys and we're following you on social media. But you don't just have us following you. You have developed a very successful platform on social media to help market your business, but also just provide a lot of education in general to the ranching community and for people outside of the ranching community on what it takes to run these successful ranches and how much work goes into it. And it's not work of just, you and yourself or your brother and sister-in-law. It's your kids and, the community and so much involved. And so I've really enjoyed learning about you guys through that. And so if you can, just give us kind of a quick recap on your guys' setup, everyone directly involved with Thomas Cattle Company.
Yeah, so my brother-in-law and my husband grew up in ranching. They grew up in Washington State, and their parents and family moved to Idaho in 1996. And so they've been here since then. And so it's my mother and father-in-law, my brother and sister-in-law, and us that all run together here in Idaho. And we've, I shouldn't say we, I've only been a part of it for 16 years. I don't have a background in ranching or agriculture, so I'm the newbie here. But it is something that is a full family operation. We do have a team of cowboys and farm employees that work on our ranches in Idaho and Oregon as well. As our operation has grown, we've needed more team members, and so we do run pretty light for the type of operation that we run. Seth and Logan really focus on ranches that are efficient and operationally sound, and so that has been helpful. So we have a team of about 10 to 12 people that work with our family on our operation. So everyone stays very busy, but yeah, we've been commercial ranchers for as long as, my brother-in-law and my husband have known. And one thing that we've really started to think about for our operation and the future of agriculture is how can we find ways for our kids to participate in ag if they choose to do so. It's becoming harder and harder for people to make it on one paycheck of your calves every year, and the demands of keeping up with an operation and the legal side of things and just some of those scarier things coming down the pipeline require more capital to do that. And so about 5 or 6 years ago, we really started thinking of ways we could diversify our operation, and direct-to-consumer beef was definitely one of our top runners. We always sell really well in the market when we sell our calves every year. We knew the people came back year after year because of the performance of our genetics and our cattle and how they gained weight and just that finished product. So we started kind of researching in what that would look like. And so about coming on 5 years, we launched our direct-to-consumer beef business and really are just finding more ways that we can diversify our income streams so that when one market is possibly down, another market might be up. So we have more balance and security for the future for our ranching operation and for our kids if they want to do it.
Oh, that's great. And how would you describe your beef? Is it grass to grain? Is that kind of how you're doing it?
Yeah, we do finish with some grain. They graze, 85% of their lives up in the Owyhee Mountains or over at our ranch in Ironside, Oregon. And then we do finish with some grain. The thing that I love about agriculture and raising beef is whatever a consumer or a customer is looking for, there's someone that we know that's doing that, that if we don't have the answer for what they're looking for, we can refer them to someone else in our community that's doing what they're looking for. And I think, that's the benefit of being in agriculture. We're a community, we want each other to succeed. And so that's one of my favorite parts, is that if what we have is not a match for what a customer comes to us, we have two or three other people we can refer them to that if they want completely 100% grass fed and grass finished, we can refer someone. So that's really been my favorite part of getting into this. I have a banking background. I wasn't in agriculture growing up. I wasn't in agriculture. I mean, I lived on a ranch, but I worked in banking till about 3 years ago. And so it's just been really neat to see the support from the community of people wanting to support local and know their ranchers, but also being able to support other agricultural entities and share those stories and successes with each other.
Sure. I saw on your website, I was kind of looking through everything, getting ready for the podcast today. And, when they support you, you're even the grain that you're using to finish, you're supporting the people providing the grain and just the whole picture of ranching and, where your food comes from and who you're supporting, I think is very interesting and cool. And you guys also do some of the regenerative ranching.
Yeah, yeah, we do. So Seth and Logan, they manage that portion of it, but it's actually kind of a full circle experience for us because one of our largest farm partners that we do some regenerative agriculture with, he sells his grain to the place that we're finishing our cattle. And so it's neat to see, within a 30-mile radius of the life of our animals, all of that is occurring. And so for us, it's been a learning process and figuring it out and finding the right partners. But it really is a win-win, not just for the environment and those factors, but also for the financials of the farmer and finding opportunity to not have that ground lay dormant throughout the winter where our cattle can be coming on and cleaning off all of that leftover fodder before they're planting, that next cover crop back into the ground. So it's been a great learning experience for us. I'm definitely not the expert on it. My brother-in-law and my husband definitely take the lead on that. But for us, it's just one more way that agriculture producers can support each other. And, all of us want to leave the ground better than we came to it. That's the future of our business and what we're going to do. Like, that's how we operate as a whole. We want to leave something better than when we found it. So we're continuing to grow in ways in doing that and having success for not only our cattle, but the ground that we're grazing on.
Oh, that's great. And, you're talking about going up into the mountains and back. So tell us a little bit about the mountains. Is it Owyhee or how do you say that?
Yeah, Owyhee Mountains.
Okay.
I guess it's a term that originates from Hawaii. I just recently learned about. So, but yes, most people can't pronounce it, and we live in Oreana, and most people can't pronounce that. So it gets a little interesting. But yeah, so our we run from about 2,000 feet above sea level to up to almost 8,000 feet. So our cattle will transition from the spring all the way up into midsummer and fall over the top of the Owyhee Mountains, almost to Jordan Valley, Oregon. So, they're grazing in 15, 20,000 acre pastures. Our cowboys are up there at summer camp right now. So they'll be up there with our cattle from Monday through Friday. And then they come home and spend the weekends here down at our home place. But yeah, that's our original ranch was in the Owyhees that Seth's parents bought in, 96 and moved over from Washington. And we've expanded as we've grown and we've purchased, some of the land adjacent to it and Logan and his wife. So we're continuing to expand that operation and just really try and be as efficient as possible. The less we have to truck cattle or move cattle, the better it is, all the way around for our operation. So really trying to find those efficiencies in our operation that we can do that. And just the Owyhees are a great, we always joke that the whole Boise market community comes out for vacation. Where our ranch is, we don't actually vacation there. We're always working 100% of the time up there. It is such a great landscape with so many different types of things that you can do up there. So the people from town definitely come out to the Owyhees, and get to see our cattle grazing and I guess be around them and see them as they're heading up to do their activities with their families.
Oh, that's awesome. It sounds beautiful. It sounds like a place I would love to visit. We need to make it that way. I've never been in your part of the country. So at some point. Now it sounds like you guys had quite the road trip from your part of the country to Abilene, Kansas when you got your Rawhide portable corrals. So how long ago would that have been? I didn't even look at the year in our system.
Oh, roughly, okay, let's see. Our kids were pretty, I would say, 10 or 12 years because our kids were pretty young. It was a feat. It was a miracle that it worked out. We got someone to keep our kids so we could drive to Kansas and come back. I think we did it in like 48 hours. We literally drove there, picked it up for an hour, ate, drove back, stayed in a hotel for I think 6 hours, and finished our trip. So it was a quick trip. We took one accidental detour through Nebraska. Um, so the trip was a little longer because I was the one at the helm of the maps and made that mistake. But I drove the Rawhide through the suburbs of Denver, which was an interesting experience. Everyone survived, no one was harmed. But yeah, it was a quick trip. It's just a memorable one because it was so quick, and now bringing it back and seeing how frequently we use the rawhide in our operation and in our different ranches, it's fun to look back and remember that. It was a lot of driving, but it was worth it because that tool just makes things so much easier for our team as as we're so spread out and there's not corrals everywhere, and so it really gives us flexibility for our team to be more efficient in their work with that tool.
Sounds like it. Yeah, as you were talking about all the different moving that you do of your cattle, I thought that's got to come in handy, and especially when you're putting it the regenerative side and you're putting stuff out on stalks and whatnot. That's where we feel like we come in because you're not going to have any kind of permanent facilities there. So
Yep,
exciting.
absolutely. Yeah, we use it all the time when we're, especially in the winter when we're grazing on stalks or whatever it might be. They're utilizing it as we're getting ready to move them to the next section that they're going to graze, and it's just a key tool that we use, on a regular basis.
Well, we are glad that we can provide that for you guys. We're a small part of your Thomas Cattle Company story. So,
Absolutely.
okay, so let's get back into the direct sales, the direct beef sales side of things, direct to consumer. You guys have a unique situation there. So you actually have a truck or multiple trucks that you can deliver locally. And so people can set their coolers out. Are you just replacing it? Or how does that work for your local customers?
Yeah, so we deliver our product in multiple ways. We ship nationwide every week, and then we have home delivery every week, and then we also do free local pickups. We made the decision to charge for home delivery. There's built-in costs for us on the wear and tear on the vehicle, the fuel that we're having to pay for. So that's a decision we made up front that we didn't want to cover that cost per se because there are things that go into it. So we do home delivery for $10, and people don't have a problem paying for that, especially as the Treasure Valley where we live grows. Getting anywhere takes, I swear, 30 to 40 minutes. And so people are very happy to pay $10 if they don't have to be the one driving to go get it. But we also want to keep an opportunity for people that would prefer to come and see us, or our team rotates who does the free local pickups and gets to talk with us and see us, or they just are out on a Saturday and don't have a problem picking it up. So we have that option as well. But yeah, so two of our team members today are out doing home deliveries, and we have a routing software that we use. We put all the orders in, we close our orders on Tuesdays, and then we route the whole delivery set that we're going to do for that week. And then, yep, we ask our customers to put coolers out and leave them there. And then we have home delivery bags that we put all the orders in. And then if they have a cooler out, we put the beef into the cooler and take the bag with us.
So how long did it take for you to get into that delivery side of things and how you wanted to do it? Like, how did you first start when you decided, like, okay, we are getting into this direct to consumer?
Yeah, it's definitely been a progression for us. And as we've grown, we've added new elements to create that consistent experience and the ease of use for our customers. So when we started, we just did the local pickups, and that was me driving them to town. I remember when we started, I would take one or two orders to town, which for us is anywhere from a 45 to 60-mile drive one way, which is not bad comparatively to some ranches. We're pretty close to town. But when we started, it was local pickups only, and I would take one or two orders. And I remember my husband saying, like, "Ah, is this going to be worth it? I don't know if this is worth it." And I just really said we have to have the faith that it's going to grow. You have to start somewhere. And so as it's grown, we did add the home delivery once we had capability, for a driver. We have a wholesale side of the business as well. So our delivery driver actually does the home deliveries as well as our retail deliveries. So we split those days out so that he has a full week and is managing the inventory for our wholesale program, and then he's getting all the home deliveries. Our fulfillment specialist pulls them all and gets them ready, but he's the one that gets them and has them ready to go out to houses across the Treasure Valley.
So where's the wholesale going then?
So we sell. When we started with wholesale. We sold probably 40% into the Portland, Seattle market, and the rest in the Boise market. As we've grown, we've really tried to focus our sales efforts on the Boise market because it is close to home. It's less expense for us, and we want to be serving our home market the closer we are to our ranch. And so it's significantly grown in this market. And so we sell into restaurants, grocery stores, food service type businesses, but that one's also been growing. So it's nice. It gives us a lot of flexibility between our direct to consumer and our wholesale, that we can flex product between those two. I would say one of the biggest challenges starting out, that probably a new person going into direct to consumer would be balancing the carcass. You're going to have a lot of ground beef. You're going to have a lot of roasts. Of course, everyone wants the steaks, but what are you going to do with that 40% of ground beef that you have to move to keep harvesting whole animals? So as we've grown, it's given us flexibility, whereas if we need more ribeyes, we can just pull those and get those portion cut from our wholesale program. So that's really been one of the things we've pushed to grow, so that we had more of that flexibility than just having to rely on whole animal carcasses and moving them all at the same time in the same amount over that period.
Gotcha. Yeah, I noticed on your website, you have, it looks very appealing. You have bundles that people can get, different kind of varieties, and even into the tallow. I mean, you guys have it all covered.
We're trying. I think for us, and any business owner, is really going back to how can you maximize the resources that you have, and that's really one thing we've been working on. We want to, you know, someone can buy one steak or they can buy up to a whole animal. Some people like the ease of bundles, so we're always assessing those and seeing which ones are working, which ones aren't working. We're adjusting stuff, and the nice thing about our business is that we can always be assessing and looking at things and adjusting, because we can, make different bundles or try different things. And that's one thing that I think our team is really great about, is we don't set it and forget it. We're going back to assess our numbers and our data, and really making sure that we're not becoming complacent about things. We're always looking for ways to be innovative and come up with new things. So, we have a jerky line. We're going to be working on a shelf-stable snack stick line, and our tallow products is just ways that we can utilize that product and increase overall value of that carcass as we create it. And our offal products, those are becoming more popular, which has been great because they're typically harder to sell. We've been selling more of those. So just any way that we can find to maximize income from that carcass is really what our goal is, and to make great quality products that people appreciate. And for us, the customer service experience is just as important as the quality of our product. So we really focus on that within our team and try to meet the needs of our customers. And I always tell our team, even when we have a problem or an issue, it's an opportunity for us to show our skill set and our capability to solve that problem for them, and put us in a better position than we were, when we started. It's not necessarily a negative thing. Obviously, we don't want to make mistakes. We don't want to have problems, but it's going to happen. So for
It's
us, it's really,
reality.
yeah, how do we respond to that, and how do we leave our customer feeling positive about that experience?
Awesome. So when you do the direct pickup, do you have a location there at your ranch that people can come to, or to store there, or do you have a local store people can go to, or where is that?
So we do. So local stores do sell our product, that they can just walk in and order steaks. We sell that through our wholesale program, so that's up to the individual store what they're pricing at, what cuts they carry. But if they order through our website, we actually meet them. So during the summer, we do 2 months or 2 days a month. During the winter, it's typically one. It kind of just depends on how busy orders are. But we just meet them at park and ride locations, and we're there for 20 minutes. So we have two locations on a Saturday. Everyone has a communication ahead of time. We bring all the orders with us to town. We are there at 9 a.m. We leave at 9:20 to go to the next one. The next one, we're at 10 o'clock. We're there for 20 minutes. They get their order. One thing that has been intentional of how we've built it is I think farmers markets and events are a great opportunity to meet the farmer and meet the rancher. But being a small business, I really wanted to be intentional that our team had a balance of work and life and could still be parents. And I didn't want to spend every Saturday for 4 months out of the year at a farmer's market carrying product that we didn't know if we were going to sell to then have to bring it back to the freezer. And that's not the approach that everyone takes, and that's totally fine. But for us, with as far as we are from town, for me, it's like, let's only take orders to town that we already know are sold and paid for, and we don't have as much going on the weekend so people can have that time with their families. And that's what we want, as a ranch and as a family. And so that's kind of how we've built that. And everyone does it differently, but for us, it's really been an intentional decision because, and we do some events, but not, 4 months at a time. We'll do one a quarter or something because we do want that opportunity to meet customers and talk with people. But just we have 5 people on our team, so there's a lot going on all the time, and try not to add more on top of it that is a consistent commitment for 3 or 4 months at a time.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. I think that does sound like a great way to balance family life because, kids get involved. I mean, are your kids doing sports and stuff?
Yes.
Um, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Yep. I unfortunately did the math, and I average about 2,700 miles a month getting kids to school and sports, and it's wild. So if I on a Saturday or a Sunday don't have to drive anywhere, that's the preference.
Oh, my goodness. I can't even imagine. That's a long ways. Okay,
Yeah.
so before we move on from the store and selling side of things, I have to let you know that I tested out being a customer with you guys because I was like, hey, I want to go on their website. I'm going to order something. So I ordered just one of the beef sticks
Okay.
and I made the mistake of only ordering one because these things went by just like that. My kids, my husband, everybody loved it. And they're like, why didn't you get more than just one pack? So I can 100% vouch. I got the original, just the original all beef. And so we're going to test it out and get some other ones. But I mean, there's a plug right there. I was like, I'm going to test it out for myself, make sure, and pass the test with flying colors. So
Awesome.
we got to get
Awesome.
some more now.
Oh, well, thank you for
Yeah.
doing that. Hopefully, and that's, my background is in marketing and communication, and that's really one thing I think we excel at, and hopefully you had that experience is we want people to know what to expect every single time. So sometimes we maybe over communicate, but I'd rather people have the information than not know and be unsure, especially when our average order value or someone ordering a beef steer, they're investing a good amount of their earnings with us. And so we want them to know that we take that seriously and we want them to have a good experience.
No, it was great. It came very quickly. It was here within a couple of days. And then you even had the nice little thank you cards in there and a personalized note. So I think you guys are killing it on the marketing side of things. So
Awesome.
very personal, and that's great. I appreciate that. So, on the marketing side of things, that's one of the things I want to talk to you about because you are killing it on the social media side with your guys' ranch. And so, give us a little bit of background on kind of building your social media channels. I think you do a great job of telling your family's story and just all that goes into running a small business, a ranch, having kids. And so, kind of give us a background on growing that.
Yeah, it's been definitely a process that I've figured out over the years. I think it's easy to get wrapped up in a follower count or a reel going viral, and people get really, excited about that. And one strategy we're kind of turning the corner on is really the focus on not growth per se, but growth to the right ideal customer for us. We know who that is. We know, what that looks like. And so for us, it's how do we create content around that? I've had lots of reels that have gone viral, but I would guess most of the people that followed us from it or that commented on it will probably never buy our beef. And so I think that's one thing that's easy to get caught up in social media. And I've really had to teach myself and work towards that for myself is how do we put out content that drives the right customer to our following and also that wants them to take action to buy our product. And so it's been a learning process from the beginning. I've done it all myself from the beginning. We are just in the beginning stages of starting to work with a strategist on some of our social media stuff, just because as we've grown, I'm running out of time to do all the social and do all the filming. And so they'll help us with getting some of the footage, putting some of it together. I think as you grow in your business, and this is one thing I'm really having to learn is, you can't always do more. Sometimes you have to work with experts, and well, not sometimes, but you need to work with experts that can save you time that you can be putting that time somewhere else for your
Yeah,
company and
resources.
for what you're trying to build. And so we are starting to do that. But really my goal with our social media is for people to feel welcome when they come to our page. If they're familiar with agriculture, if they've never been around agriculture and they're not familiar, I want it to feel like a kind, welcoming place that tells them about our story. I'm not trying to tell the story of other people in agriculture or, by proxy of what we're doing that exists, but everyone does things a little bit differently. And I want to share the story of why we do what we do and how it works for us. And, I know we have a lot of other smaller farmers and ranchers that follow us and will comment on stuff. And I love that because it is a supportive community where we can all help each other succeed. And so it's been a journey. I honestly don't always love it. It can be challenging and it can burn you out because it is something you have to do all the time and be committed to doing. And my family sometimes is like, "Oh gosh, we're gonna run in the other direction. We see you coming with your phone." But it is the coolest experience for me to get to chat and message with our customers and followers about what we do because there's no one else that's better suited to tell the story of Thomas Cattle Company than us, and we don't want to leave that up to someone else. Or a lot of people will come and say, "Oh, I read this article," or "I saw this video," and unfortunately, in today's world, a lot of people see something one time and they take it as gospel, and it's not someone that's even active in agriculture that understands what they're talking about. And so for me, that welcomeness and that open curiosity is really something I try and be open to answer questions for people. I don't always have the answer, but I can at least talk to my husband or talk to my brother-in-law and get answers to get back to people because I want people to know why we do what we do and why it makes sense for us. And it's going to be different for everyone. And so it's really something that is neat for me to get to have those relationships and build those relationships. And I have so many friends on social media that I've never met in person that, I have those great relationships and we get to talk about what we do and have built those. So it's something you have to be consistent at and you have to commit to doing. And I would just say if you're starting out and wanting to do it, really thinking about your strategy and who you want to reach, because not all content is content that's going to drive sales for your website.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've kind of battled that. I do a lot of the stuff with Rawhide, and I think I need to post more, but then it's hard because all the cool content is out there with our customers, and I want to travel more and get out to our customers, but then when you're working and have kids, it gets hard. And so, um,
Right,
but yeah, I think that's definitely a thing is consistency. Really
right.
consistency. I got to pick up my stuff. But no, that's exciting. We already followed you guys because we learned about you with having a rawhide, but I'll see some of your reels pop up and that have gone viral, and I'm like, oh hey, look at that, you guys are killing it. So, and it's informational stuff, which is great. I did see something when I was looking at your social media before coming here that I thought was pretty cool. You have it pinned on your homepage, which Thomas Cattle Company is your Instagram page, correct? For
Correct.
people to
Yep.
go look at.
Yep.
But you had something on there from your dad, which I thought was really cool. It was something your dad had written down, I guess, before he passed away. Is that correct?
Yes, yep.
Okay. And it was the three decisions that really matter in life: how you treat people around you, who you or how you marry, and how you believe in yourself. I thought that was really cool. So, I guess tell us a little bit about your dad and kind of that story
Hmm.
there.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, that was truly one of the most amazing gifts that we got after my dad passed away. My dad owned a construction company and he fought cancer for 10 years and just was one of the most positive people. You know, he always said, like, I continue to fight because they could come up with a cure tomorrow. And, one of his friends was cleaning out one of our old construction trucks and found this notebook. And inside that, he found that note that my dad had written before he passed. And this was maybe 2 years after he passed that he found it. And so my mom for Christmas had it, copied and framed. So all of us kids and my mom have one in our house of that saying. And my dad was not a complicated person. Like, he treated everyone with kindness and he rarely got worked up. He just really saw things in an optimistic view. And so, I try to share that, and I think of him when I'm thinking of our experience with our customers or our social media. Is I want people to feel welcome and feel kindness from what we do, and so a lot of that does come from him. And I think the grit and determination comes from him, as well as my mom, who was his caretaker for that 10 years that he was ill. And just seeing them, that for better or worse, that commitment that you make has really been a great example for my brother and sister and me and my parents. And but yeah, he passed in 2016. And it's just, I think of him every single day. But having a special memento like that, when I made that reel, it's such profound words that he wrote. Like, life can get so complex and so complicated, but at the end of the day, there's very few things that matter. And I think, like, the one of who you marry is really, so important, especially if you're going to go into small business together that has its own dynamics to work out. But, choosing a partner for life that is going to choose you again and again and work through the hard times and the good times. And we really saw that from my parents. And so I think that's something that we all really respect, that they went through. And but yeah, I miss him every day. But I wish I could call him in some of my business struggles, and he would always say it's going to turn out okay. And I think that's what I try and think. I got to keep pushing through, and the hard times and the struggles is it's going to turn out okay. We just had to keep showing up, and that's what he did. So I appreciate you asking about that. That was
Of course.
very neat to receive that and see that. And I look at it every morning when I wake up, and it sets me up for a day of knowing, like, I have it pretty good, and we're pretty lucky to do what we do.
Well, he sounds very special. And I would say I think he's probably very proud of everything you're
Mm,
doing right now. You're doing a great job.
thank you.
So you talked about how you marry or who you marry. So why don't you give us a background in how you met your husband and got into this ranching world?
Sure. Yeah. It's funny. My mom always teases me about it, but I grew up in Montana in an agriculture community, and but I didn't. I grew up working construction. My mom was a teacher, and I came to college in Idaho to play college basketball. And my husband played college basketball in Ontario, Oregon, and then he transferred to Mayville State in North Dakota and played. And a gentleman that had coached him then came and coached my team. And he said, I have the perfect guy for you. And for like a year, he told me this. I was like, do I ever get to meet him, or am I just going to hear about him? So after a year of hearing about him, he introduced my husband, or my future husband, Seth, and me, and we were engaged 6 months later. So I was ready to I wanted to move to the city, work in professional sports, live in the middle of it all. And now I live in the middle of nowhere with cows and barely any people. So my mom always says, how's the city treating you? So, but
You
I didn't
probably,
know it was the life that I needed. I love it now. I just wouldn't want to trade it for the world. And we've been married 16 years now. And, agriculture is challenging and it can be tough and it requires a lot of time and effort. And I think that's something coming into it that I really didn't know what to expect. So I've had to, really work through that for myself and what that looks like, and know that if he says he's going to be home at 6, it might be 6 p.m., it might be 6 a.m., it depends on what's going on. But I think our team is dedicated to the service of our herd, first and foremost. And so I've had to learn that through the years and get through some of those thoughts of what I had perceptions of, but I wouldn't trade it for anything now.
Oh, for sure. That's exciting. And so you're a basketball player. I also was a basketball player. So that's exciting. What position did you play?
Shooting guard.
Okay. I was a short post, so I am only like 5'10", 5'11". And in
Okay.
high school, it was like, oh, you're a post, you're down low. And I did good in high school, but I went to college and I was really small for that position. So
Right.
it was a little difficult. I wish I would have done a little more ball handling and shooting in the high school years, but
Yes. Yes.
that's okay.
It's fun to see our kids now getting to that age where they're into sports and those things, and their games are actually decent games to watch. In the beginning it can be a little rough when you have that
Oh, yeah.
background, and but it's fun to see them really start to enjoy sports and the things that they're passionate about, and they're both very different. And so it was fun for us to get to know each other through that relationship and then see our kids grow into it as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, good. Well, I have appreciated visiting with you. I feel like I knew you guys had awesome things going on. And after getting to have this conversation, I'm so happy for you guys. I wish you continued success.
Oh,
And
thank you.
um, yeah, thanks for taking some time. I know you guys have had a really busy week and it ain't over yet. So um, I will send you on your way to get back onto all the things that small business owners have to deal with. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me and the opportunity to tell a little bit about our story, and we appreciate your time.
Sure. Well, and just so everybody knows, a reminder, you can follow them at Thomas Cattle Company on Instagram, and you can find them on their website, which I just had pulled up here. It is at thomascattlecompany.com. And check them out. You can find a little bit of everything on there. The tallow, I need to try some of that. I haven't tried it yet, but they say it's the rave in skincare. So I think I'm going to have to try that out.
Yep, it's awesome. Definitely picking up steam, and it's great to take a product that was either being rendered and tossed and turned it into something that's valuable, that is beneficial for people. So it's been fun to work through and learn more about that process.
Awesome. Well, keep up the great work. Again, thanks for coming on, and we'll be in touch later.
All right, thanks, Heather.